13th USD 489 board meeting, and I'll call it to order at this time.
Mr. President,
Yes.
may I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I don't know where I would like to have a discussion somewhere, and I don't know where we put it since we don't have a place on the agenda, to talk about the people that went to the KSB conference. And so do you have an opportunity where we could share some of the things that we learned and we saw? Where would that be a good place to put it on the agenda?
You know what, I wasn't asked to put that on. Let's go ahead and I'll add that to the next agenda. That won't be a problem. I'll add that.
Well, there's some things that are coming up that's like December 1st that people need to plan for their calendar, so that's fine if you want to do it that way. So the next agenda is, the timing might be a little bit tight. Mr. President,
Yes.
when was the agenda developed?
Last week.
Which day?
It was put, we met on Wednesday before I had to head out of town.
Okay. I would like to request when that is completed, if you could please send it out. I mean, our
Well,
policy says.
We send it out according to policy, and we've
Well,
had
that's
this
the-
discussion.
What's that?
We've had this discussion many times. We
Right,
send it
and
out according to policy. And
Policy is the
that's
minimum. It doesn't mean the maximum. I mean, if you have it ready and available, I don't see why you don't just send it out as soon as it's ready.
Is there any discussion about tonight's agenda?
That's part of the agenda, how it was developed,
Right.
how do you put it together?
Do you have anything more at this time, Mr. Parker?
No,
What,
Okay.
Mr. Palliser?
I was answering him, not you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of the agenda, vote yes.
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 All those opposed, vote no.
No.
All right, and it passes.
Did you get a?
All right.
Did you get a yes, no?
Which brings us to 1.3. The mission of USD 489 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. And so to support the mission of the district, the USD 489 Board of Education includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, and effective management of resources. Also vital to keeping focus on the district's mission and vision are that the USD 489 Board of Education supports the district core values, being a champion for all kids, bringing your best every day, carrying the banner for your school and district, and selling and creating possibilities and opportunities for students for their futures. And so that brings us to our consent agenda. May I have a
Mr.
motion?
Brooks, I would like to pull out two items, please, 2.6 and 2.7 for discussion.
Can you just say what
Sure,
they are? just to make
2.6
sure?
is Smoky Hill interlocal agreement, and 2.7 disposal of obsolete district equipment.
With those changes, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Have a-
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor vote yes.
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 Oh, I'm sorry. Jess, I'm sorry. Craig Palliser.
Okay, we're in.
Okay, you'll probably need to refresh in order to vote.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes Mr. Park asked for, vote yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no. All right, passes. And Jess, did you add those as, are we going to have to refresh here again in a minute?
No, they're down at
They're down to
the end
one.
of
They're
six.
they're in the sixes.
Oh, okay. I see it now. Okay. All right. consent agenda passes, we will go to public comment. At this time, is there anyone here for public comment? All right. The board requests that all members of the public respect the rules outlined below so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input will be given the chance. Speakers are asked to start with stating your name and address where you reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes to make their presentations. Speakers are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. And except to ask clarifying questions, board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. And the board asks that all members of the public respect these rules so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input that has not already been given will have the chance.
My name is Bill Flipsy. My address is 1309 East 21st Street. I was a volunteer on the bond committee to help figure out how to get it passed. And I went into that meeting without any idea of whether I was for it or against it. I knew very little about the school system, and I learned a lot. As I heard about how our buildings were outdated and embarrassing to have other schools come and see, especially schools who have been updated, to see our facility, how it was embarrassing to bring new people who were considering moving here in and show them the school system, school facilities. It was hard to get them to move here and so forth. I was especially excited when I heard the teachers and the staff members talk about the new concept of building design, classrooms, and the new methods of teaching. So I really went to work trying to promote this in the community. I did probably a lot that is never going to be seen. And now I'm in trouble, and I need your help. And I'll get around to how I need that a little later here. When I was pushing for the bond issue, I was always confronted by community people who were maybe against it. Why so much money? Why this and that? And I confronted them back with accountability. How did we let our facilities get this outdated? Why did we not attend board meetings? Why weren't we board members? Why didn't we keep up on this? With a lot of those people, there was no response. Why didn't we pass previous bonds to do this? Because 3 minutes is a very limited time to try to get up here and present anything, I've tried to think of ways to do this a little differently. And I don't think I can really even ask to be put on the agenda, because it looks to me like it's pretty hard to get on the agenda here, even if you're a board member. I have drafted 15 questions that I will hand out to every board member. I've included with it.
Well, if you want to do that, that'd be fine, but the 3 minutes is up at this time.
Can I borrow 3 minutes from another member?
We ask that you stick to the guidelines that we have. That way we can maintain the order of everything, and so.
I have seen how the guidelines for your meetings and so forth vary quite a bit. What would be the objection if somebody from the group wants to give me their 3 minutes? Okay, my name now is Mr. John Pyle. Where do I live, John? What's my address?
I can't speak very well tonight, so I'm going to let Bill take my time.
Thank you, sir. I've included a envelope stamped with my address on there, and I'd appreciate it if I would get these back. Now, I want to read this part. Just as I confronted the community with accountability concerning the bond, I wish to address you with some accountability issues. I will be respectfully blunt, and if you hear it as criticism, I hope that you understand that it is intended for constructive criticism. The early morning contract approval meeting, just having to have that meeting signifies that there was a blunder. How is it that only one employee of this district and no board member had to sign a contract for $100 million? I don't understand that. I would consider, okay, and I'd like to ask, who is going to be your liaison between the board and the contractors doing this major project? If the answer is the superintendent, I want to ask you, doesn't he already have a full-time job? I think you need, this is my opinion, I think you need somebody with construction experience on major projects, large projects. I wish that you could have sat on my side of the room and watched the body language during that very contentious contract signing meeting. I mean, tell you, eyes were rolling up in the back of your head, your heads were flopping, your jaws were dropping. It was not very pretty. And body language speaks quite a bit. Mr. President, I think you hit below the belt when you confronted Mr. Park with the fact that he's retired and has a lot of free time. That wasn't fair. We have a board member that does needle pointing during the meetings. It's hard for me to see how we're getting undivided attention.
All right, I'm going to cut you off. You've already had 2.5 minutes, and now you're getting into personal attack. So I appreciate your time, and I say that lightly and being polite, but thank you. And is there any other speakers this evening?
Thank you.
Thank you, Flipsy.
If there are no other speakers, we'll continue.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to 4.1, and Mr. Wilson, if you want to introduce him.
Yeah, tonight we have a really great thing. Trinity Lutheran Church back in August did a barbecue for the community, and they helped raise funds for our district food pantries, our district food pantries as far as dollars amount, and so they're here tonight to present a check to the district. So I'll let, I don't know who's going to speak. Dan, are you going to speak? Dan is going to speak. Okay.
So we are presenting a check today for $6,000 that we raised because of the community coming together and participating in our barbecue. And we are hoping that these funds can be used for the food pantry that the schools have to keep them going as long as possible throughout the year. We know how important food and security is for our students.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thanks.
I think this is my pocket.
Oh,
this is one fundraiser you did and you raised this much?
Yes.
Wow.
That's tremendous.
We've been doing barbecues 1 or 2 a year for about, I don't know, 13 years. And
cool.
success varies, but the community really came behind this and wanted to support you, so we're happy to present that to you.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And there's the real.
Yeah, the real.
That's what I'm talking about. Thanks so much, guys.
I appreciate it.
Good job, thank you.
Ron, can you just remind do we have more than 2 pantries?
Well, no, every school has their own individual.
Every building does?
Yes, that they have available food to give to families as needed. Because we found that individual schools know their families and what their needs are much better than having one central payment. So this money will go towards helping fill those needs throughout the school year as they get low on certain items. So this is great.
I should give a shout out to the VFW for letting us use their facilities for this event as well, so thank you to them.
Yeah, and Ron invited Nelson, provided all of the food, including the meat.
Oh, wow.
If you see them around town, be sure to give them a big thank you.
Well,
Thanks,
thank
Dan.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Tremendous, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
All right, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Wilson.
Okay, just run through some things. I have first just like to make an announcement that Wilson Elementary teacher Jessica Groff has been nominated as the district's nominee for Kansas Teacher of the Year. Kansas State Department of Ed will review these nominees and their applications with an appointed committee, and they'll select 6 semifinalists. That will occur sometime in April. And there will be 3 elementary teachers and 3 secondary teachers who will be nominated to move on to the state award winner. So best of luck to Jessie, and I think we've got a great representative. She's just a tremendous teacher for us and very dedicated and very passionate about the work she does. And it's nice to be able to recognize her for that work. You also have some bond updates, Roosevelt and Hayes High, lots of dirt work out at Hayes High, as well as some inside work and some good drone shots of the outside work at Roosevelt. Progress is still on track. At Roosevelt, we should start to see steel going up here with it maybe by the end of the month, which is always good to see that. And so Hayes High is progressing at a nice rate. Still tons of dirt work. So be a lot of big machines out there rolling and stirring up dust. Also, just wanted to make the board aware that next week, this is kind of a big event. We've been working on this for really since last summer with Fort Hays. I've had a lot of conversations with Matt Cook, the assistant athletic director at Fort Hays. He had an idea about our students attending the Fort Hays game on November 21st. So this is the day before Thanksgiving break. So we're going to take our K-8 students to the game. This is a big undertaking, as we're going to bus 2,400 students and staff to the game. That's going to start. Fort Hays has moved the game time up to noon. It's their first home game of the year, and we'll be feeding lunch to the students there at Gross Memorial, and also we're going to be providing them a snack, so they'll be well fed, and hopefully they have a good time. You know, it's kind of unique. In that, or it's maybe unique to think that we have a lot of our students who may have lived in Hays and they just have never been to a ball game. So I think this will be kind of a neat event for them to be at Fort Hays and see that. So we're excited about that. Also, I wanted to make the board aware is as we are looking for summer projects, one of the summer projects that we're looking for is the Wilson parking lot. That would be the south parking lot, the main entrance parking lot. And I guess there's no north parking lot, so that wouldn't be an option. But the city is considering redoing the street there in front of Wilson this summer, and they're planning on this being a summer project. What we are thinking, and as they are exploring putting a bid package together, is we have had some conversations with the city about being an alternate bid on that bid package, where we could maybe look at, when they're redoing the street, being an alternate bid on redoing the parking lot at the same time, which we're hoping to find a price reduction, just because of the mobilization and everything that comes sometimes with doing those projects, and hopefully we could find a price break. The Wilson parking lot is in pretty disrepair, and at some point is going to have to be done. Now, with that being said, if everything goes according to plan, we'll put that on the bid. If we feel like it's a good deal for us, we would bring that back to the board at the time that the bids are required to be, accepted, and get that in front of the board and have you look at it if that's something you want to do. But just wanted to make the board aware that this is a possibility coming up down the road.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thanks for the synergy and working with our city. But question, so the construction would be a summer project. When are you thinking the timeline would be for the bid?
I think the bid, they're considering putting that bid package together right now, and so
it could be before the holiday?
Yeah, it could be before the holidays, before that's when it would come back to you in December.
And have you brought anything up to the city, or are you going to be
Yeah,
going
we've talked to the city about this, yeah, as a possibility, so, yeah. Just a baseball field update, just I included a drone shot for the board to take a look at. It's a great shot there of the work. We've demoed the bleachers and the turf, and removed the outfield topsoil, and we've done the dirt work, the grading. We've hauled in big rocks, and I think small rocks are being hauled in this week and added to the field. Laser leveling will occur over the next couple of weeks, which takes quite a bit of time. Turf is hopeful to begin installing hopefully the 1st of December, if the wind will help us out. Sometimes wind is the worst thing. It's not necessarily wet, but it's the wind. The retrofitting of lights and installation of new bleachers should be sometime in January, February. That'll be after most likely the turf is done. We talked back in September or October that the baseball field, after geotech testing had been completed, that it would the soil subgrade was not in a great condition, and that because of the fatty clay that existed out there, and the fatty clay soils are found to be expansive, which it could cause for potential rise of the surface if conditions just get just right, and it could cause us long-term problems. And so that stabilization, which was the process of the Portland cement being mixed in and worked into the soil to provide a stable base, has been completed. And this was we talked about this during the initial bid, but it did add $90,501 to the project. So just making the board aware of that.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Can I ask why that we didn't have to approve that 90?
Well, the thing is, it was once they found out, I shared that with the board.
I understand.
Yeah.
But do we not as a
You
board?
will get that. I just got this on Friday. I just got the amount on Friday of what it was, but it was already completed.
But shouldn't we had voted on that? Is that the thing that we should vote on before they go to do that?
But I didn't even know what the amount was. If on the bid.
Did we vote to said go ahead and complete that?
Well, I shared with the board
I
that,
understand.
and I have it in the September 25th meeting. I shared with you about the fatty, and that this was something that needed to be done.
I
But I
agree.
didn't have an amount. They didn't know what it would cost.
Okay, should there not have been approval given by the board?
Well, That's what I'm telling you, that this is part of the project.
I understand that.
So when the project is approved, that will be
Yeah.
part of the project that you.
Yeah, it'll be, if you go back to the contract, this was, it was in the contract that this was a possibility, that the board would have to, when we said something about we actually held $126,000 back for the project.
Okay. So is that 120 part of the 1.6 million?
It's
we
not
approved?
one, it's like 1.2 million, I believe.
I read 1 point,
Well,
Six.
you're adding in bleachers and
Okay.
lights.
but that's
This
what
is just the
but that's
turf.
what we approved. Is that 120 in that?
No, but at that time, through the project, we're not financing it, we're paying it out of capital outlay.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just would assume, I just would assume the board would need to approve.
You will get it as far as, and I just got this on Friday, so I'm just
But
bringing it to you tonight.
I'm not talking about the amount, I'm talking about go ahead and doing it, because we're gonna have to pay for it, and
Well, the thing is, I guess, and your response is, I brought it to the board's attention on September 25th.
I agree with you.
And we talked about it, and at that time I said, it looks like this is something we have to do for the long-term condition of the field. And at that time, I got a consensus that we needed to go ahead and do it. I didn't know what exactly it was gonna cost. So it was actually less than the original 126,000 or whatever we mentioned. at the time
Was
of
that
the
part
contract.
of Mammoth's bill or a different company?
No, it'd be Mammoth. Yeah, but they
They
subbed it out.
subcontracted.
I'm sure that, well, I don't really know who did it, but, yeah.
And they didn't give you an estimate of what it might cost?
I think it was like 126,000. That's what I'm saying. At the time of the contract, the time you guys approved the contract, there was an amount written in there that it would cost, we're going to hold some money back for this as a possibility, because geotech testing had not occurred at that time. And at that point, on September, I came back and I told you geotech testing had come back, and it looked like we had some bad soil, and that this was something that needed to be done for the long term. At that time, I didn't have a contract. I just got it on Friday, so on September 25th, I shared that with the board, and we moved forward from that point. I heard no one object to that we didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I have here in the agenda from August 21st
Right.
that there is a stabilization contingency
Yes.
of 110,000.
Or 110.
Yeah.
And then also in September, I actually in my communication said the geotech testing.
It came back badly,
We
and
needed
so that's going to be
so
extra.
We have discussed it as a board.
So that, the contingency was the vote, and
Yeah.
if we needed to do it, that's
Yeah,
what it was.
but it'll be above that, the original amount, I think, because we didn't know at that time if we needed
I
it.
understand.
But is it within that contingency?
It's within that contingency then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions?
Mr. Wilson, we were told at one of our meetings that and shown on the plans, that the tennis courts were going to be way on the south end. And then during the groundbreaking, the tennis courts are now back up front. When was that decision made and why?
Well, the decision on the tennis courts was made to save money. Instead of building new courts, we felt like we could save the courts that are currently part of the high school. And we just maneuvered. We had to work at it quite a bit. It was not something DLR was excited about, but we felt like this was a potential savings for the project because we would not have to build those 4 courts.
Well, we were told that they were not salvageable, so they are salvageable?
I don't think we ever told you that. There were 4 courts that are not salvageable. They were deteriorated to the point, but there's 4 courts that we have been playing on every year
So those are the ones we're going to keep? And,
Yes.
And are we
But
going to add more, or
the-
just going to have 4?
The goal would be, and we've talked about this as the board on the capital outlay list, that we would we would like to add 4 more courts to there in the existing area where those 4 deteriorated courts are.
And doing that would allow us to hold state events by having the 8, or?
Sure, and it's not so much holding state events, it's just giving our kids a place to practice. I mean, right now, we have 4 courts for, I think there were 40 girls out for high school tennis this year for 4 courts, so
Yeah,
that's.
they were trying to find, besides the city, then they were out at Fort Hayes, we had to pay Fort Hayes
Yeah.
for a while.
So the reason was primarily done to save money, and we probably saved $700,000 by doing that.
When was that decision made?
I don't know, a few months ago,
Okay.
yeah. You saw the plans when you approved so they were in there, where the tennis courts were.
We approved plans?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember that, I
All the
guess.
You're saying all plans and,
He understands what I'm saying.
Well, no, I don't know what, a meeting did we approve all the plans? Because we talked about it that
Well,
one time, and then we changed it back.
DLR, they
And
came
the
and
groundbreaking.
they shared, they came and they shared you did the whole thing.
And we, as a board, approved those plans.
You approved the GMP for the
Right.
project.
We did that at the 7:30 morning meeting. Okay.
All right. Do you have anything more, Mr. Wilson?
No.
Ron, can I just jump in real quick? I want to thank Mrs. Burns and Mrs. Hurl. I had the opportunity to attend their Veterans Day program at O'Laughlin last week. I just applaud all of you because the kids really got involved. There were posters clear down after the flag raising and the recognition of veterans, and the kids were really involved with their grandparents, great-grandparents, dads, uncles that were recognized as veterans. I know we have at least 2 veterans here on the school board, including myself, that appreciate the amount of work that took and an early morning like that. I know Roosevelt has been doing similar things for years. So as a member of the community and the schools, I want to thank you, and if you'd pass that on to your staff. I was amazed by the 2nd grade teacher that played the national anthem on her trumpet. Outstanding, and just to see the looks. We had at least one World War II veteran that was there, all the way to very recent people that were in the military. So I want to thank you guys and all the schools that were involved with the Veterans Day last week.
I even have an invitation, I'd like to piggyback on Mr. Collister's comments. I had a good time. It was neat.
Mr. President, is this a time for board discussion?
I appreciate that Mr. Pallister did that, but really, do you have something to celebrate?
Well,
somebody,
yes.
or-
I mean, I just was wondering where the spot was. Well, I had the privilege and pleasure of seeing the district showcase 489 down at KSB. The group did an outstanding job. Really enjoyed it. They were excellent. The young men and women that were there were there was a lot of people by that booth all night long. I didn't get a chance to go to all of them, but the ones that I went to, and 489 did a great job of shining. They did a great job. So just wanted to make sure to mention that.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
just wanted to take one thing here while we're in the updates. At the work session, I think we talked a little bit about the sales tax revenue and some of the bond tracking. So wanted to take just a moment to show you all and kind of walk through what we have in the board packet. So in the financials, if you look at the October investment and interest report, that's where you're going to see over on the right side where we're tracking each month month what the sales tax revenue is. And if you remember, that goes directly to bond repayment. Can't be used for projects. It's bond repayment. So that's what we use to mitigate and manage the mill levy impact. So you'll be able to see that each month. We track it there. A couple of other things while we're here, just show you. So there's another handout in there called the bond project tracking. So if you open that one, that's where, so we've got a couple of different things going on. The very first square is that revenue estimate. So that's looking at not only the bond proceeds, but the bond premium, as well as the interest estimates, interest received, and then also interest estimate after the arbitrage. So after the arbitrage rebate, we're going to have to pay back in excess of that 3.66 or 3.7% interest. Okay. Then below that, then you can see where we're tracking the expenditures, and we're doing it by building. There's some things that are program-wide, right? So they don't necessarily tie to a building, but as much as possible, then we're tracking expenditures as we go on each by each building. So we'll keep that up to date in those kind of broad categories. And then there's two other funds that we have within the bond fund, or in that the bond proceeds. So we have money set aside in a separate account for that issuance and compliance. Most of that has been paid out already. That's where we hired Gilmore Bell as the bond counsel, and then Piper Sandler as the bond manager, I guess, the fund manager. So you can see most of that money is spent out, but we'll have some money sitting in there till the completion of the bond projects. And then we don't have money set aside yet, but we know that up to date or through October, we had Gilmore Mill is estimating about $200,000 in arbitrage, and so that money will be taken and set in a separate fund, so that at the end of the project, we make sure that we have funds there to be able to make any rebate payment that we would need. That doesn't necessarily come off the project total, because that is, if you remember, that arbitrage is interest in excess of what basically the IRS says, okay, we can make this much in interest, anything above that has to go back to IRS. So wanted to be able to show you that one as well.
And these forms will just continue to be part of financials moving through this project?
Yeah, well,
Nice.
When do we have our payments in March and our principal payments? Is it twice a year?
yes, two times a year. That's
March
coming
and
out of a
September?
separate fund, though. That's
Okay.
not that's a separate account, separate accounting. That revenue, the sales tax revenue, and then the mill levy revenue in the bond and interest fund, that's what goes and pays the bond and interest payments.
And Piper Sandler, they track all that?
So we track all that through our KSDE budget. That's part of the KSD budget document.
What report do they give you monthly, Piper Sandler?
Right now, they don't do anything necessarily monthly. They're there to support us as we go. The security bank, where the bond funds are invested and held, we get monthly bank statements.
A statement from them. But that's not that come for Piper Sandler, that comes from the bank?
That comes from the bank, yeah.
And that's,
Esco, who is the investment firm.
That's a monthly statement. Is that something you could add to our information?
Yeah, we can.
And
The bank balances, if you look in that first.
In the investment
in that
interest?
first handout, if you go down a little bit.
on the tracking, or which one?
Right in the October investment.
Oh, okay.
Changes up slightly. November investment. But if you go down, the
Second
the
page.
bond depository, so the bank balances are there.
Okay.
The investment report is 5 pages of, these are the different treasuries that they have, and the extension, the date based on the draw schedule and things like that. So we can add it, but if you're only wanting to see what do we have as a balance in that project fund, then that's in the bond depository. That's the bank statement for, or bank balance for security.
So you have the project fund, and then there's another fund that's for overruns and other projects that might come up, or overcost. What's that fund called?
So within the bond tracking, so that's coming out of the project fund still. So that would be budgeting in other or owner contingency within those categories, there's different places where they may have.
Is that the bond
budget.
proceeds?
Right, that's in the bond project, that's all part of the project. So remember, we sell the bonds, and now we have a separate fund where we collect the mill levy and we collect the sales tax to go pay that loan off, pay that bond off. In the project fund, all of the project stuff, so anything related to the project, including owner contingency or overruns or anything like that, is coming out of this bond project.
Now, that bond premium amount, it goes into where?
It's in the bond project fund.
It's a bond project.
Right.
Okay. And did we get the amortization schedule in our documents?
Oh, I did not? No, I forgot to ask that. I will,
Okay.
I'll get the, yeah, so, because that'll have when all the payments are due. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hipp. I appreciate the way you make all that available. Anything further before we continue? Okay, well then we will move on to 6.1, Enrollment of Non-Resident Students Policy. This is our second read, and so at this time, before we take it to motion and a vote, we do need to have a hearing. So if there's anyone who has public comments concerning this, the enrollment of non-resident student policies, please let me know.
Was this posted in the paper
Yep, it's been posted twice.
twice? What dates are those? Do you know? I was looking at the paper, I didn't see them, so just wondering.
I
They're in
don't
Hayes
get-
Daily?
I don't know of anybody that gets a Hayes Daily, so I can't tell you.
Okay.
But it has been sent to them.
Yeah,
and
we
has to
we
be
paid for
published twice.
two dates. Jess, do you have the dates?
I don't know, because I didn't pull them up right this
Yeah.
second.
Okay. All right. Well, hearing no public comments, we will, oh, you got something?
Do I need to say all the name and address stuff, or?
Yeah, if you'll just give us your name.
Derek Yarmer,
Yeah.
1819 280th, here in Hayes. I guess my question was just as far as people from out of the district coming in with the bond issue and all that sort of stuff, like, so we're paying for the new schools and then we're going to accept people from all over without questions asked? I mean, I just had questions about that.
This is not a policy that we created. This is a policy that was created by the Kansas State Legislature back in the session, who
Gotcha.
created this policy that said all districts must be open. So we cannot deny non-residents to come into our district. But the only way we can deny is for two reasons. One, to be if they come and would not be in good standing, and later we will set capacity numbers. We're not going to do that tonight. We'll do that by May as closer to the next school year, but we'll set capacity numbers. If we determine that we are over capacity at a certain grade level, then we could say you can't come.
So the vote's only for approving what the state legislature has already approved?
Right.
Yes.
Right, right, yeah, we have to
And-
approve it as our policy.
And I believe, Dr. Yarber, if we have an out-of-district person that comes and you talk about enrolling them in our facilities, then the state pays it just like per capita of
Per
the
capita, like what would normal
You're getting
students
a
get
student-
reimbursed for, but
We're
it's not
getting
out.
reimbursed for that. That's why it's so important that we're one of the few districts that are growing.
No, I think it's great. It's just,
If-
you know,
if
as far
they're
as like
here-
we're paying the money for the bond
Yeah.
issue to get the new schools, and you open up for everybody, which I understand if it's a state issue, it's not ours
Yeah.
to debate, but it's just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
We only get paid that year if they're prior to September 20th.
Right.
Yeah, if they come now, we don't get paid unless they continue next year.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Can you, a memory's tickling me here, and so the Kansas Association of School Boards, KASB, does lobby, or they go to legislation and
Yes.
talk on behalf of,
Sure.
do you remember their premise on this?
Well, the premise is this is really kind of a non-issue for us as a school district, because really, we have always been an open enrollment district. We have kind of followed the same guidelines that they have put in place. If a student who is a non-resident but wants to come to our district, as long as they're in good standing and we have space, we're going to allow them to come. So really this policy was probably put in place more because of Johnson County are some of the larger areas, Wichita areas in the state. And for us, it's not a huge change. And the majority of the districts in the state of Kansas have been primarily operating on this premise. Just a little more work and a little more hoops and loops that we have to jump through prior to getting this, passed. But we probably won't see a big difference. We will come back to you sometime probably in May with numbers that we are going to establish. But I would imagine we'll still have space in all grade levels.
We're going to establish numbers for all of our learning centers then?
Yeah, we'll have numbers for every grade level.
So
And-
every district in the state has to pass this policy before
Yes.
January 1.
Yes. Well, yeah, January, I guess it is January.
Mr. Wilson, do we have numbers now on our educational facilities?
We do set numbers for our elementary. Our capacity numbers are at 19 for kindergarten and first grade, 23 for 2 through.
We do it on grade levels and then,
Yeah, we've
we do it based on grade levels?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Are those going to change, you think, or are they pretty much going to stay the same?
Well, I wouldn't
The
have,
facilities we have now, I don't know if we change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of why we choose those guys new facilities, I'm sure it's something we look at with square footage, but
Well, those capacities have to be set by May 1st, so we'll need to approve them in April. Or whenever you have it, if they're ready, we can do it before that, I guess. But that has to be a board decision,
Yes.
board approval,
board approval.
and you'll get those.
Awesome, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the policy JBCC, enrollment of non-resident students as presented.
I second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those.
Could we have discussion, please?
Oh, I figured we just had it, so.
Well, we
All right,
usually have it
Is there any
after.
further discussion, Mr.
Thank you. The one thing is that I don't know what we put down in for the hearing, but it's supposed to have time, date, place. And I'm sure we didn't say 7:15 on our hearing is going to be our hearing. So I think we need to do a better job making sure our
The
hearing.
publication's in here.
Yeah, the ad's there. It just says
6:30.
November 13th at 6:30,
Between the meetings.
but, I mean,
And that would be the standard, you do the same.
that's when the meetings start.
Right, and we have at the beginning, we should have had the hearing probably at the beginning of the meetings at 6:30. But I'm just saying, maybe we should look at that and make sure that we're following the guidelines correctly.
We
Well,
did.
just so you know, I talked to KSB and they said 6:30 that was given from KSB.
But you think, should we have the hearing at 6:30, since we said that the hearing was going to be at
They said it
6:30?
really doesn't matter.
It basically,
Doesn't matter.
how we've worded it is that we will meet today at 6:30 for the
meeting,
purpose
yeah.
of this public hearing.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Wait,
say the public
wait.
hearing begins at 6:30, but
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion to approve policy JBCC, enrollment for non-resident students as presented, vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no. All right, hearing no nos, we will continue. Passes. All right. 6.2, enrollment policy, JBC. No hearing is needed for this one.
Now, this is just basically, everything that you just passed has been crossed out of the JBC policy, just kind of a gutted policy now a little bit. And so it's just updating that policy. Because you'll refer to all non-resident enrollments in JBCC, and it's just what's left for enrollment for JBC.
Okay, Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
President,
And this
I
is,
make a motion to approve the policy JBC as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
is this exactly like KSB presented?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, I'll take this to a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion to approve policy JBC as presented, say yes.
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 Yes. All those opposed, say no. It is approved, and we will continue. Sale of district property discussion.
Yeah, back in August, we visited as a board about the property which is north of the Hayes Middle School football field. There's approximately 6 acres there. In that August meeting, we talked about the possibility of looking at maybe disposing of this property because as we've passed the bond and all our projects, just don't see a real plan for the future for this property. And so tonight, this is just a continuation of that conversation in looking at that property at Hayes Middle as we feel like this is maybe a great form of residential or a specialty use property that could be utilized by our city. I know the city has a big push to find residential lots to build homes, and I think this property fits well with that. I think also it fits well with the city of Hayes' plans to infill residential developmental areas, and it doesn't require a lot of infrastructure as the streets, curbs, guttering are all there, and they've been there for quite a while. So tonight is just a discussion. There's no action. It's just I asked Bill. Bill and I visited about this, and I asked Bill to just kind of talk to you as the board to describe the process for disposing of property and what that might look like. So, Bill?
Thank you. Well, the process would be statutorily whatever the Board of Education feels is in the best interest of the school district. So the first thing you need to do is decide that you want to sell the property, and then you would have the options of doing a public auction with or without restrictions. You could list the property with a realtor and sell it by private treaty. What the board has done in the past we've sold vacant property on West 12th Street, Shively Field. We sold West 33rd Street. We sold some acreage at East 29th and Indian Trail. That was all done by soliciting sealed bids with the right to reject any and all bids. And that's worked really well. That would be the easiest method. You may or may not want to get an appraisal or have some understanding of what it may be worth, but those would be your 3 options. Listing with a realtor and a public auction would require some additional fees that you wouldn't have with a sealed bid. With a sealed bid, I can do all the contract work utilizing my retainer that you pay every month. And so you wouldn't have a real estate commission to pay. You'd have closing costs and probably some title insurance. And if you don't like the bids you get or you don't get any, I mean, you can reject them all and go down the road and do something different.
Do you know how many square feet or acres that is?
6 acres.
6 acres.
261,000 square feet.
Are you drawing a line right with the fence, or
No, there it is.
5 feet from the fence, or where?
I didn't see it.
I didn't draw any line.
You may need to get that surveyed too. I don't know if there's a legal description that's been created for that tract.
So the process begins, it has to be approved by, we have to make the motion to
The Board of Education would have to make a decision on how you want to go about selling the property. If you want to solicit sealed bids, then you would vote to make that recommendation, and that would be then the process that would initially be followed. Or if you want to list it with a realtor, or if you want to hire an auctioneer.
What does it cost to have an appraisal? $500?
Probably 500 more or less, I would think.
So Bill, you obviously have been a part, I believe you were a part of those past sales that you referred to, unlike all of us. What why did it go smoothly? You made a comment like that. What did you see that went smoothly
Well,
about that?
if you have a developer in this case, probably, with this kind of property, as we did with West 33rd Street and also at Indian Trail, with a sealed bid process, they're more likely to bid what they're willing to pay for it, as opposed to some kind of a discounted value. Because if they're unsuccessful, somebody bids higher, then they're out. So it is really work. The county has sold some properties that way too. And in the case of the county properties, all of them sold for in excess of what the fair market value was that the county had. I don't know. In answer to your question, Tammy, it's worked. It has not yet not worked.
Okay.
Which doesn't mean it might this time for the first time. But you'd reserve the right to reject any and all bids. So if you're not happy with the bids, you could reject all of them and
Do it again.
go another route.
Mr. Wilson, are we at this point in time ready to consider that?
No, I remember we talked about it in August.
Right.
And I once again said, would you guys be interested in this? And at that time, I had the consensus to at least explore this.
Sure.
And so at this point, no, there is no, this property right now we mow it. And there's,
And we have to slow down and drive around the bend.
sure, yeah. But that's really there's no timeline as far as we have to get rid of it or we can hang on to it forever. It is strictly the board's call on what you want to do. I do look at this as potential revenue that we could help fill our capital outlay needs as we look at projects that we are continuing to want to work towards for our district. So
that was my question. No timeline, like when the middle school moves out to the new building or anything like that?
no, you could sell this property tomorrow and we wouldn't, it wouldn't hurt us.
Right.
Or you could sell it in 5 years and it's not going to delay any projects. It's not getting in the way.
I appreciate you looking at it because I agree it's not been used much or
I
will
think-
be used in the future.
And I think for the timeline, I think, if there are developers who are, and as the city of Hayes or Grow Hayes has continually, I've had conversations with those people and they're always looking for property to possibly build homes on. And as I looked at our property, I thought, man, this just looks like a great opportunity for our district. We can continue to mow it, and there's no issues, but it might be some revenue.
Soccer and track sneak over there a little bit. Is that about? That's
Well,
about the only
yeah,
one?
we do play. We do do middle school soccer on it. They practice.
Right.
I think a flat area out there.
But when they move there, when they go to the new spot.
Eventually, we'll have spots over at the current Hayes High, Hayes Middle.
So if I remember right, at the August when we discussed this, everyone seemed to be in favor of it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we have this property appraised, and then we'll go from there, so we know what kind of dollars we're dealing with, and then we can make that decision to go forward.
I second it.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
think it's a good
I just
start.
have a clarification. So when sealed bids were done in the past, there was no appraisal?
There was, when we sold, when the board sold West 33rd and East 29th in Canterbury, there was an appraisal done. On Shively Field, West 12th, there was not an appraisal.
Is there a
I would like to know what the value we're dealing with.
I guess I was just, and I get that. I was just wondering, and I'm
If it-
I'm not in real estate,
But
so
I'm
does
not
that,
either, but if it values out 2 or 3 million, that's a big wad of money. If it values out to be 200,000, I don't know if, you know.
I don't think it's 2 or 3 million. Just-
I understand that. I
It's
would
not-
like,
We're not gonna get rich,
no, but I'd like to know what we're
Unless we hit
dealing with, and then we'll go from there.
yeah,
we
I was
could
just
look at
wondering
the
if it would
comps.
harm us in any way That's what I didn't know.
Right, but then if
No,
you're getting sealed
you-
bids, at least you know if
Yeah.
we're in the
Yeah, it
ballpark.
might even be somewhat helpful if you had that in your notice, too, of the sealed bids of what the appraised value is. That was done with West 33rd and 29th and Indian Trail.
Okay.
Or former wheat plots.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Oh, yes, one, I guess clarifying question, then, that would be Ron finding out all that information and would be working with the appraiser that our district usually works with.
That'd be
Okay.
correct.
Correct? Yep. Okay. And then, all right, and then when we have that appraisal, we'll go from there. So all those in favor of seeking an appraisal signify by saying yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Might have to restart. Might have to, I don't know.
It came
Oh,
up.
it came up. All those opposed, say no. All right, that passes.
Thank you, Ron, for doing all
And
that.
thank you, Mr. Jeter. Okay, and then we will go on to Smoky Hill interlocal agreement.
Just some discussion of this agreement and what all entails. I see we're a lot of other districts. Can we have an explanation about it?
This is just a 5-year renewal. I think the district's been with Smoky Hill. It's a service center that our district, they provide workshops, in-services. They provide a crisis plan. They provide safety instruction for bus drivers. It's just, they provide lots of things. They do some cooperative purchasing. I don't necessarily, or do we do any cooperative purchasing? Yeah.
We've been able to negotiate.
Yeah. Just something our district's been a part of for a long time. I wouldn't know how long we've been with Smoky Hill, so.
It doesn't cost us anything to belong to it, does it? Is there a fee?
We do pay a fee, but I'm not, yeah, but I'm not sure actually what it is.
Is the fee when we use them, or we just, it's not front fee?
Well, there's just, I think, a membership fee
Fee, okay.
based upon what we are as charter members.
There's a membership fee, and then when we do use them, like Melanie McDonald, we use her a lot for some of our PBIS, then it's a discounted rate.
Yeah.
So it pays itself that way, and that we get the member rate of things.
I was looking through it. I didn't see it. Do you know what that is?
Well, there's page 3 is method of financing, is that what you?
Well, this isn't really, this is technically not the fee part. This is just the agreement
The contract.
that what you're signing up for.
A
I
5-year
mean,
agreement. And we
yeah.
don't know.
It's
The
not
thing
like
is, if you
it's-
choose not to, I guess, pay the fee, then you don't get the service. Yeah.
And these services aren't available with the, I mean, it's not like there's a co-op to go shop around and compare prices, is there?
Well, yes, there are other service centers, not, they have an office here in Hayes. They also have an office in Salina, and they have an office in Concordia, I believe. Maybe not an office. It's just Hayes and Salina. Smoky Hill has an office off of 27th Street that they office out of, and so.
We are members of Southwest Plains too, but that's an annual thing. I don't think, they don't do a 5-year commitment like this. But we use them for our mentoring and just, some of them specialize in different things, so we are members of both.
And by the look of all the schools there, that's all around us, and then some.
We have a couple of different memberships that we paid for, and again, I think you're only approving the interlocal, like their bylaws, kind of like what you do with the legislative collective, not approving any of the memberships right now. You can still pick and choose, but we pay $1,600 for them to be a part of the crisis membership and environmental compliance. We pay $2,750 for membership in E-rate consulting. So it's kind of a smorgasbord of some of the standing fees, and then like Shannon said, you get discounted workshop attendance and things like
So it's a menu of services, and we have a few that we belong with, and everybody else has their own that they choose to be part of or not. Got it, okay. Mr. President, I move we approve the Smoky Hill agreement, 5-year agreement.
I second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
All those opposed vote no. I don't have anything coming up.
Oh, there
we
it
go.
is.
Yeah, I missed the last one. It was up there and I didn't get it.
All right. And with that being approved, we will go on to 6.5, disposal of obsolete district equipment. Mr. Park, you have a question on this?
Yes. Is there a reason why we call it obsolete instead of surplus? I've asked that question before, I just don't understand it.
My response last time was obsolete definition is we don't need it anymore, so.
Well, on the state, when they talk about the guidelines for it, they call it surplus. So and we've changed it from what we call surplus, and I just wondered why we do that.
Surplus means that you have more than you need. It's not,
Extra.
this isn't extra. This is just stuff that does not serve a purpose anymore, so it becomes definition obsolete.
Well, I noticed on some of the items on there, and which I appreciate them saying if they work or not, which is, I'm glad they put that because you get more money on it if they know that it works in working condition instead of just unknown. So I know there's a few on there that says unknown, but hopefully we can get those before we go on to Purple Wave, find out whether they're actually in working condition or not. What about the turf that came up of the field? Is that something that we're putting on Purple Wave, or did it get thrown away? They rolled it up?
Turf, I think the baseball coaches are going to utilize some of it for their bullpens.
They'll probably put some in that batting
Yeah.
cage.
Yeah.
So it's all been
Yeah, I mean.
moved in surplus, it's not been thrown away, is what I'm saying. If there is extra, we ought to sell it.
Yeah, sure. I don't even know where it's at. I mean,
I don't even know what it's worth.
I'm assuming it's probably sitting somewhere, but.
Been up there
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
Old turf is, just, it's difficult to move and,
It's very heavy and.
yeah.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the disposal of obsolete district equipment.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor vote yes.
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 All those opposed vote no. All right. We will be going into executive session and do I need a motion before I read further, or do I just go ahead? It's for personnel matters for non-elected personnel in order to protect privacy interests of an identifiable individual. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
We need
the
Mr.
time.
Chairman, I think you need, who needs to stay and what time we return.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just be Chris, Shannon, myself, and Bill can stay.
Okay, and how long will we
We
take?
can go 15 minutes. I think it'll be fine.
15 minutes? Okay. So we will come out, say we go in at 7:40, we'll come out at 7:55.
Do you have a motion and a second?
No, I need that.
That was the rest of the motion.
So moved.
I would second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
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 All those opposed say no. All right. We will go into
There will be
executive
action
session
after.
starting at
Mr.
7:40.
President, will there be any action after the executive
Oh,
session?
yes, there will be. We
Because
will
you'll
come
have to pass
out
personal transactions.
and we will vote on personnel transactions.
Do we have a break or are we going right in? We're going right into exactly.
We're
we got a
going
break.
right
Oh, yeah, I did. I didn't give us a break. Sorry there.
Killing me, man.
Yeah, we're staying in here.
Oh, there it is.
agreeing with that?
All right, we'll reconvene in open session, and that brings us into personnel transactions.
Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the personnel transactions as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the personnel transactions as presented, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no. Hearing none, it's approved. And we are adjourned.
I couldn't find it, so.